George, you've been around special talents such as Conor McGregor, Tyson Fury, now Joseph Parker, and many more. Is there a specific thing that separates them from the general population?
Honestly, man, it's all about action, and investment. If I'm coming into a camp, that tells me a couple things. Number one, this individual is investing in themselves. The stuff that I do, it's not cheap. Literally, I'm leaving my family, leaving my home, so they have to pay for not only me being there, but they also have opportunity costs of not me paying me not to be somewhere else. You know what I mean? Food, everything else. But the thing is when you invest in that, you guys see a return on investment tenfold. A lot of people are like, nutrition, I got it on point, strength and conditioning. Everybody hears the same thing over and over again. When they start working with me and everything is measured out, timed out, we measure your sleep, we measure your HRV, we understand your VO2 max. So every single workout is designed specifically for an end state, an end goal, periodization, so you peak out at the time of fighting. And I think these guys, you don't know what you don't know, so they hire people that do know. They're special. You can't become specialized in nutrition, lifting, and boxing or MMA. You have to have specific coaches in each department, and these guys understand that. They make the investment, and as you can tell, they do pretty
Yeah,
well.
and so when fighters invest that much into their camp, it also shows confidence. They are confident in themselves, and they know that's. I like the word that you use. It's an investment because they will get a return on investment because of the performance they will do later.
Yeah, like this is fighting, but at the end of the day, it's a business. The highest paid guys are the guys that put asses in seats. It's all about putting butts in seats. And so if this is a business, any other business, you put an investment into your business over and over until you start seeing. It takes a while before you start seeing the fruits of your labor. But that's how any other business work. Whereas a lot of people, I feel, they want to shortchange, like, okay, I'm going to try and save this money that I won from the fight, and then their trajectory or the way that they go up kind of stagnates, and they kind of plateau pretty relatively easily because the only thing that they know is what they know, and they keep doing what they're doing, and they just don't grow.
Yeah, as you said, you cannot be an expert in everything. So when you work with fighters, they know how to fight. From all the high-profile clients that you had, what were the biggest misunderstandings, sorry, regarding nutrition before they started working with you?
Um, you know, a lot of people, if I go to a nutritionist or a dietitian, somebody that, has been to college, they teach you the same stuff over and over again. If you want to lose weight, what you're going to do, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, even though like you might not have done sports and stuff, if you want to lose weight, what do? You cut your calories back. So a calorie is literally a measurement of energy. That's what it is. So if I take calories away, I'm taking energy away. So you're an athlete. So I always use the analogy of a car. You're a car and you're getting ready for a race. So you're driving the car more, fueling it up less, and expecting performance to increase. It's not going to happen. So a lot of these guys, I noticed they cut the calories. Well, instead of cutting calories with the laws of thermodynamics, it's energy in, energy out.
Mhm.
You either concentrate on the energy in, the calories in, or you concentrate on the calories out. If my output goes up and calories stay the same, weight will go down. So instead of dropping the calories in, I concentrate on the output. If you concentrate on the performance, everything works for you. And a lot of guys got that backwards.
Okay, and does that make it easier to work with heavyweights where they don't have to cut weight, they don't have to get the weight lower?
It's crazy because, jumping into boxing, everybody that I've worked with, and even the heavyweight division, they have two tangibles, and that's the scale and the pain, like basically pain. So, for example, they get on a scale, they see the scale move, they're like, okay, they're seeing progress. And if a workout hurts, pain is progress in their opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's like when I started working with Joe, there was no tangibles. You ask a fighter, are you in better shape? And they're like, yeah, I feel good. It's a feeling. I'm like, man, there should be tangibles. Do you run? Let's say if you ran a mile in 7 minutes and now you run a mile in 6 minutes, you can legitimately say, I'm in better shape, I'm better condition. Are you stronger? If I'm lifting heavier weights, I know I'm stronger. Power, so on and so forth. there was no tangibles. Now we have a tangible for aerobic capacity, anaerobic threshold, VO2 max, HRV, heart rate, resting heart rate, you know, mobility. It's funny because starting all this stuff, it was like an eye opener for these guys. Like, holy crap, you know, it's like I talk about a simple thing about connectivity. You know, guys like Wilder, why, you know, in boxing world, they're like, oh, you're born with power, you're not. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. You know, like it's if you're weak at a bench, and you're like, well, I can't bench a whole lot. You know, you're saying that it's impossible to get strong at bench. You could start at a higher level. The reason that Wilder is so powerful is if you look at his connectivity, it goes from the bottom of his foot all the way to the end of his punch. There's no lag, there's no leeway. And that's something I've been working a lot with Joe, you know, pushing off that back leg. Everything is, you know, connectivity from the bottom of that foot to the end of that punch. But like I said, you don't know what you don't know. And these guys, all they do is, oh, I didn't win that fight. So what I got to do is I got to go harder. And that's the only mentality that they have. Go harder. A lot of times that leads to injury.
Yeah, so what I hear is usually fighters, they go on subjective indicators, and when they work with you, you track performance, so you have KPIs, which leads me to the next question is I like how you defined yourself on Twitter, performance nutrition consultant. Can you elaborate how nutrition and performance are linked and work together?
Yeah, you know, it's like if I gave you a Lamborghini, everybody for some reason they're able to see this through vehicles, but not their own body, right? You know, people like I'll get regular questions like, hey, do these guys get a cheat day? You know, do they get a, you know, like a cheat meal? And I'm like, if I gave you a Lamborghini and you're like, damn, this thing has been running perfectly, I'm gonna put some crap fuel in it. You'd be like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You know what I'm saying? If we're making progress and I'm giving the body what it needs when it needs it, when do I ever have to give crappy fuel? When is that ever a good idea? There's times that I might need to increase carbohydrates, decrease macros, increase micros, so on and so forth. But there's no cheating. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's you know, in terms of performance, let's say, like I'll use an example. A lot of people they'll do a workout. They'll take 2 scoops of protein post workout. Let's say they lift weights. They'll take 2 scoops of protein, you know, go on their merry way. And then let's say they do a run. They'll take 2 scoops of protein and they go on their merry way. Now I always tell people there's two main energy sources. When you're aerobic, meaning your body has oxygen, your body's primary source of fuel is actually fat.
Mm-hmm.
It's not carbohydrates. When you do anaerobic, meaning without oxygen, like lifting heavy weights, sprints, you know, heavy bag work, stuff like that, your body's primary source of fuel is carbohydrates. So in both incidences, you know what you're not using is protein. But for some freaking reason, you guys are taking protein post workout, and at the end of the week, you guys are feeling like garbage. It's also knowing the right fuel. If I burn 1,000 calories during a workout, let's say I burn 1,000 calories of jogging, I burn 1,000 calories lifting, I have to refuel those calories differently. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I want to replenish the carbohydrates. I don't replenish the fat because my body's got an unlimited supply of that fat for energy source. So if I have 1,000 calories that I'm burning through a jog or a run, I'm not over like, okay, we got to replenish what you lost because, like I said, you have excess amounts of that. But it's like, you know, everything that Joe does from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to bed. Like a lot of people, if you have a heavy workout that day, they're like, well, I'm going to eat carbohydrates. They eat the day up. If you look how long it takes for carbohydrates to get into your system, it's not what you're using is what you ate yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's in your system. So if he has a hard session tomorrow, then I'd load him up yesterday on carbs so his body's primed and ready today. And the thing is, I don't want him eating a crap load of food, especially before he spars, you know. So those are just some of the examples. But performance nutrition, it's just what it says. It's to increase your performance by giving you the correct fuel. If you're fueled up properly, you can work harder. If you work harder, performance goes up.
Yes, I wanted to know what are the most important skills to be an elite nutrition consultant such as yourself for professional athletes. What I hear is you have to pay attention to details. You have to have a long-term vision because what you eat today will help you tomorrow. So you have to think ahead. What are the other most important skills to be a performance in that job?
Yeah, this is going to sound very like arrogant, and but I don't mean it to come off. You look at this with an open mind, but one of the things my dad taught me when I was growing up, he's like, one day he told me, he's like, 99% of people can't read in this world. And I looked at him like, dude, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. He picks up a beer can. He says, read this. And I said, that says Miller High Life, champagne and beers. He said, did you read it or did you regurgitate it? He says, reading means, you see a word for the very first time, you know what makes something an hour and all. Seeing a word before and then being able to regurgitate that, he's like, that's not reading. And I apply that to nutrition. If you ask somebody that has been, let's say, become a nutritionist or become a dietitian, you ask them, well, how much weight can a woman lose per week? How much weight can a man lose per week? They're going to tell you 1 to 2 pounds for a woman and 2 to 3 pounds for a man. And then you ask him why. And then it's kind of like, because that's what the book said. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, why is that? With the UFC, we have guys, cutting 30 pounds in 3 days, man. So you have to understand the why behind everything, or else you're going to be dictated by propaganda. Atkins diet is popular. So it's like, dude, back in the day, it's like, oh my God, you're eating carbs. Do you want to die? And then it's like, got the carnivore diet, the zone diet, paleo diet. There's 75,000 diets out there. And it's understanding what the body needs for your specific goals. One diet might work with somebody's specific goals. If you put a boxer on a ketogenic diet, you could try and break it down as many ways as you want. Glyconeogenesis, it's like, well, your body can turn proteins into carbohydrates. And it's like, it can, but is that the most efficient way to do that? Your body's like, I'm doing this to survive, not because it's optimal. So understanding the why and doing the research on your own, it's constant learning. He's always, like, dude, like, I'm constantly reading and finding, studies too. And then, obviously I'm passionate about this, man, but like, if you hear people talk, a lot of people say, well, studies show. You also got to be cognizant of that, because you got to understand who does the studies. Well, the people that do these studies are the people that are making money off the study. So I can make a study basically say anything that I want it to say. You know what I'm saying? Dictated by the group of individuals that I'm studying. So reading the studies, does this study apply to the individual that I am training? Does it get the recommended goal that I'm looking for? So on and so forth. And, you do that and you go down a rabbit hole of just endless possibilities, but constantly learning. And you'll never get there, man. You'll always learn, open your mind, but always ask why.
I love that. I love how you tell people to be aware of a study is not another study. Some studies are quality, some other are not high quality. Yeah. Some people made study to get money. Some people make study to improve and to improve the science and the knowledge of people. So yeah, I love that. Thank you, man. Dylan, I think you had a few questions regarding Joe Parker, of course.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about boxing. That's what I do. I have 2 questions regarding Joe and regarding the weight, because we meet in London for the Joshua Dubois fight, and Joe looks huge. I told him, mate, you're huge, and he said, yeah, I feel like I'm 270 pounds. And you told me, yes, he's huge and he's fucking powerful right now. You told me that. So my question is, I have 2, it's a 2-part question. One, is the plan to fight either Dubois or Zhang, sorry. So a big puncher, so he needs to be a bit heavier, maybe. And the other part of the question is, we know the qualities of Joe, footwork, agility, speed. How do you keep those qualities, but manage to increase the weight?
Okay, I know it's a simple question. There's a lot that goes on into that, right? So I'm just gonna go off, and when I say this, I'm stereotyping because it's a majority of people. I'm not saying that everybody, but in the boxing community, it's like I want to be faster, so I'm going to lose weight. Mm-hmm. I want more power, so I'm going to gain weight. And I'm like, that's not how that works at all, or any form of fashion. when we enter a fight, what I like to do is, a lot of people ask, like, how can we beat this guy? If you haven't actually fought the guy, you haven't felt the timing, so on and so forth, you can't answer that question. What you have to ask is, how can this guy beat me? That you have complete control over. So it's like, okay, my condition is not up to par. We start notching off the things from highest to lowest to how this individual can beat us. With Zhang, and I say this with all due respect, but I feel that we had speed, we had conditioning, but one of the biggest factors was size. Like he was 291 pounds when he fought Joe, and Joe was 244 pounds. And I'm like, increasing weight it's not actually, well, it is difficult, but if you do basic fundamentals, you eat, you eat enough, you sleep enough, and you create the stimulus through lifting, it's very simple. But creating size and then keeping the aerobic capacity and your body's ability to oxygenate that extra muscle, that's where the kicker is. With Joe, we needed a stint of time. You're not doing that in 2 months. So we started basically in April. I've been with Joe since April. And we just been lifting, running. Joe runs an hour and a half to 2 hours, at least 2 to 3 times per week. Most boxers are like 30 minutes. Cardio, when you ask them, like, what is cardio? And people are like, well, it's like jogging, jump rope. And I'm like, cardio, it's your heart. To actually increase your heart's ability, a minimum of an hour is going to be needed. When you guys do long cardio runs for aerobic capacity, you want to increase the amount of time. The more time that you do, my body's going to be able to recover faster. So most fighters, they work on the anaerobic threshold. So if you look at their workouts, it's like boom, 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 boom. And they do that over and over and over again. Scientifically, if you look at somebody in terms of VO2 max, you can maybe raise a VO2 max a fraction of what they're genetically gifted with. You're not going to get somebody that's got a mediocre VO2 and have them, no matter what kind of training, have somebody like that's doing the Tour de France. It's impossible, Then you have the anaerobic threshold. The anaerobic threshold is a little bit underneath the VO2 max. And what that is telling you is like, this is a threshold in which my body can still maybe oxygenate the blood, but it's basically a pain tolerance. You have to be able to, like, how much of this can I deal with? Mm-hmm. Your body might be able to oxygenate the blood, but if it goes above that, your body can't oxygenate the blood. And what that basically means is that you're out of oxygen. Your muscles run out of oxygen, thus you can't hold your arms up anymore, and you hit the gas tank. That right there can move a fraction, but your aerobic capacity is endless. So if I ask you guys, like, you guys ever run a mile? You guys like a mile? You guys confident, like, with mile times and stuff like that? Yeah. So the average marathon runner, what do you think their average mile is for 26.2 miles? What would you say?
Whoa.
Repeat the question, because we have to translate it into kilometers for us.
Oh, yeah.
1,8 km.
C'est un 6,
okay.
Ouais, peut-être un 6, t'as raison. 1.8 or 1.6 kilometers, something like this.
Yeah, I think it's 1.6. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So if you do this in miles, their average mile, and they do this for 26.2 miles, their average mile, not their fastest, is 4 minutes and 45 seconds.
Whoa.
Per mile.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I thought a good performance for a normal person would be 8 minutes for 1 mile.
Well, yeah.
And they do it twice quicker for 26 miles.
Whoa.
Right.
Okay, man.
Bro. So now, but here's the thing. If they run just a little bit faster, let's say they run it a mile in 3 minutes or 4 minutes and 38 seconds, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to gas out, because at 4 minutes and 45 seconds, their body's able to oxygenate that blood. Yeah. And the reason they're able to do this is they have a massive aerobic capacity. So if me and you, like, I don't know about you, but if I tried to run a mile in 4 minutes and 45 seconds, I would pass out on the first lap.
Yeah, I will die too. Yeah, I will die.
Yeah.
I'll use my car. Yeah.
I don't even know if I get my car go that fast, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, then you sit there and you got to take, like, okay, when you have a high aerobic capacity, when you guys, engage, you guys like boom, 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 boom. What happens is the heart rate spikes, okay? Now, your ability to deal with that spike, that would be your anaerobic threshold. But when we separate, your aerobic capacity is what gets your heart rate to drop, right? So my heart rate drops. If my heart rate drops faster than yours, so we separate and your heart rate's here and then it goes up, but mine goes to here and yours stays around here and then we engage again, you start to notice within 3 or 4 rounds, you're smoked. My ability to get that heart rate down, and it has nothing to do. If I try and do interval training, sprint training, stuff like that, that's not going to increase my body's ability to recover. It's going to increase the amount of output that I give when I give that that flurry. We need to work on both, but I don't see any other boxers working on that aspect. Mobility, you guys know, like, and I sense that you guys have understanding of a lot of different sports. The one thing I've learned in boxing, it's like, for example, sprinters, right? Sprinting is massive in the world. You know, like you see Olympic sprinters, but in their training, you know, they're not going to be like, okay, sprint 100 meters, right? And they sprint 100 meters, and it's like, okay, go back and do it again. We're going to see if we can do it faster. All right, do it again. We're going to see if we do it faster, right? What they're going to do is they're going to break down the movements of this individual. Okay, you're bringing your foot out just a little bit in front of you. They look at the biomechanics of the body, and they perfect the movement. In boxing, I to this day, I still haven't seen that done. Like when you throw a right punch, you know, it's like they'll be like, throw 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. All right, do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they expect that speed is going to increase without proper biomechanics. That's like you doing squats over and over again, and I don't correct your form. You're going to hit a limit because there's going to be a chain that disconnects, lower back, something that your body's not using correctly. And that's one of the things. So we worked on biomechanics. We worked on mobility. Joe, when we first worked, like mobility, I'm like, if you can't lift your arm up like this, right, without any weight, how are you going to put power? No matter how strong your muscles are, if you can't do a simple movement. So we started off with general strength, and then the more we have, we work on specificity. But over that time, we built on, I told them, strength is your body's ability to recruit muscle fibers. So if you go on a bench, you might recruit them 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, very slowly, but you're learning to recruit a lot. Now, if I tell you to go jump on a box, you can't recruit them slowly. That would be more of a power-based thing. It's recruiting amount of muscle fibers very quickly. Extreme power is recruiting a lot of muscle fibers very quickly. Some people can recruit muscle fibers quickly, but they don't recruit a whole lot of them very quickly. So we worked on the strength aspect, worked on the biomechanics, worked on the aerobic capacity. And then now we're working on, tempo. We got to learn tempo. We have to do rhythm of the actual boxing. So, being extremely powerful, a lot of people don't realize that it's a very, very dangerous thing. So, for example, if I can deadlift 150 pounds, right? It's almost hard to wear myself out. And that's a lot of guys you'll see boxing. They'll pat, 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 pat. You're like, they have a massive gas tank. It's not necessarily they have a massive gas tank, but they're not recruiting all the muscles in their body. Now, if you see somebody like Eddie Hall, freaking, deadlifting 1,000 pounds, they're recruiting every muscle in their body. You'll see their heart rate go boom and spike.
And the nose starts bleeding and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like your whole body's being used. So that's the way it should be with the punch, and that's where we got Joe. So like he throws a punch, boom, and you'll see his heart rate spike. That's great. Everybody wants explosive, but you have to understand that like everything comes with the price. Mm-hmm. You have to learn tempo. Well, what tempo do we work at and stuff like that? It's rhythm, and then timing. So everything comes down to rhythm, timing, and tempo. And then the strength conditioning is based off of increased strength, increased speed, increased power. The thing is everybody tries to do all at once, and it's freaking impossible. That's like a bodybuilder. That's like, I want to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. Nobody will ever do that. But boxers try and do that because I don't think they have the understanding of the concepts. Concepts and principles is what you got to live by, not necessarily like a thought process and theoretical knowledge.
I think it's because in boxing you have a lot of old school believers. That leads me to the next question. And I think it's a good thing actually that Joe in his camp, as you, who's really scientific and has a modern approach, and Andy Lee, who's a bit more old school, comes from Kronk, so a bit more like boxing fundamentals and stuff. How do you manage to work together? And you don't have to just destroy Joe so he can box with Andy, I guess. So how do you manage to do both?
Honestly, so Andy would never say anything at first. But you'd be like, why are we doing this? Like, for an example, we train the day of the fight, and he's like, what the hell? Like, why would you train the day of the fight? So your body releases norepinephrine, right? The day of the fight, your adrenaline's up.
Yeah.
Nothing like, remember I told you when you're aerobic, your body burns fat, but when norepinephrine and adrenaline's up, guess what your body's primary source of fuel is? It's carbs. So most fighters, the day of the fight, they don't like to eat a lot because adrenaline's up, right? So adrenaline's up, and you're just plowing through carbohydrates. So by the time they get to the actual ring, their body's exhausted and your fuel is depleted. The best way to get rid of norepinephrine is get your heart rate up. So we'll do it's only like 2-3 rounds, maybe spike the heart rate, try and get as high as possible. When the heart rate goes up, it'll drop, but norepinephrine will drop with that. So now that glycogen using hormone or effect is gone. And Joe, like after that, like he'll just pass out. He falls asleep, and we want him to sleep as much as possible, so his body's using as less fuel as possible. Now, the reason I bring that up, it's like, okay, there's a science behind this. This is what it does. Now, once he saw it, he's like, holy crap! Like Joe just passed out. He was able to relax. But I understand when you've done something the same way your entire life, and someone's like, we're going to train fight day, and you're like, bro, you're already exhausted fight day. Like, we're just going to work them out more. But I'm like, in actuality, it's going to recover. He's seen the process, he sees the principles, and he sees the things that the way that we've grown leaps and bounds. Joe's moving just as fast. Well, he's moving faster now, and we started this camp. He was 112 kilos. He's gotten up to 126 kilos. This camp, he's a big boy. We've run out of weights to lift at the gym. Literally, like everything. He's got the entire stacks, and we're finding weights to put on weights and stuff like that. But the problem is people think that's the end goal. It's like now we have an understanding his body can recruit those muscle fibers. If I have somebody that's got good connectivity, they've got good power, speed, biomechanics, but I have one guy that's 100 kg and I got a guy that's 126 kg. Mm-hmm. Which one is going to hit harder? It's all mass. It's like the more mass I put behind that. And the thing that you don't have to worry about with mass is that you let the mass do the work. Mm-hmm. You don't have to, you just boom. And you look at a prime example like Zhang. I'm not saying he doesn't put any effort into it, but he doesn't have to put as much effort at 290 pounds. You know what I'm saying? He touches you, you're going to feel it. So, but yeah, that was the reasoning behind that. Joe, when he fights, he'll probably be 117. When I take a look at somebody, there is the law of diminishing return. It's like we've gained all this weight and people are like, oh, I just want to get bigger. And I'm like, your frame is not designed. Like we can get to 150 kg. That you're working backwards now. His frame is built to hold about 117 kg. So we gain by the end of fight camp, he'll be 117. He's going to be shredded. He's going to be bigger. He's going to be shredded. But he's going to feel lighter. And like I said, everything has a periodization. Everything has a positioning. There is no wasted energy on a week of fight camp.
And I feel like he's already shredded for a guy weighing 126 kilos. He's looking great. Yeah. He's looking great. I have one more question. You talked earlier about cheat meal and cheat days and stuff like this. We know boxers can lack some motivation sometimes or some self-discipline. Yeah. Let's say it like this. And you work with someone that notorious for being not great on his diet. It's Tyson Fury. How do you manage to keep someone like Fury away from cheat meals and from the pints and everything that goes with it?
That's the one thing that you can't do. Like I've been in this this job, in this profession. I've worked with so many different people. A lot of people think like, okay, well, I got nutrition taken care of. I bought, I paid for a nutritionist. I paid for someone to come cook it, stuff like that. Just because you have the best strength and conditioning coach in the world, best nutritionist in the world, if you don't follow the plan, what I try and do is I try and work on a thought process in mind. Like I'll tell Joe everything that's going on in his body. If a lot of people, they try and go the route of like, this is really bad, this is dangerous and stuff like that. I don't think they understand the group of people they're talking to. I'm like, if these people were worried about dangers, they wouldn't be stepping into a ring with another guy trying to bash their head in. But when you talk to them about performance, like for example, if you're 3% dehydrated, it equates to up to 30% decrease in performance. They're like, whoa, wait a minute, this is affecting my ability to smash this other guy. And then they start understanding. When I'm telling Joe, like today's gonna be a good day of sparring, today's gonna be a bad day. We started, for the first time in his career, started monitoring his HRV, which is your heart rate variability. And nobody monitors that. It's like they'll have a strength and conditioning coach, smashes, doesn't talk to the actual coach, smash. And then, the boxing coach smashes them. And then, they have all these injuries and stuff like that. It's like, if I do a bench, Monday and my chest is still sore, there's no point in doing it again until it's fully recovered, because I don't get bigger when I am in the gym. I get bigger once I recover from the gym. You have to be just as aggressive as recovery as you are at breaking the body down. And a lot of these guys don't understand that. Andy, to answer your question before, Andy is very, he's, like I said, he sees this stuff. And me and him, we talk about things like in terms of, in terms of energy, you have two ways to increase conditioning, and it's increase energy output and then energy efficiency. If I got a marathon runner and I put him up against a rower, let's say a rower smokes, he hasn't rowed in years, and I put them both on a row. Well, we know the marathon runner is in better shape than the rower. Well, because in kinesiology, efficiency, his body understands what muscles to use, what muscles not to use, because he's done it over and over again. His cardio is going to be his cardio is going to be a lot more efficient. So training the guys, like right now, Joe's output's top notch. Now we got to work on the efficiency of that training. And when you start seeing numbers go up, and you start seeing, like, if I gaff off of my food, they see those numbers go down, because there's a tangible. Like if you have a tangible on everything, like if I don't eat perfectly, there's no way I'm getting a new PR on Monday. So they want to do that. If you don't have tangibles and it's all based on feeling, man, it's like, oh, yeah, I felt good. My workout was good today. It's like, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can see that in last Fury fight, the last two Fury fight, the fight against Ngannou, I think he was kind of out of shape. Maybe we have speculation about did he take Ngannou seriously or stuff. But when it came to fight Usyk, he was in the shape of his life, and I think it says a lot. Like, you have a bad performance, you're like, oh, okay, I can't have this one again. I have to work, and like you said, you just saw the numbers. Like, the numbers are, okay, it was bad, I need to get better. So I need to be a bit more concerned about my diet and stuff.
Yeah. I think, I really, now that I've gotten into the sport, I really, it's really sad, because it is one of the oldest sports, but in terms of knowledge or application, it's in the Stone Age. An example would be the non-tangible that you can't do is, like, if you go, I know with MMA, if I go up against a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, I'll be like, dude, I feel like I've got conditioning for days. You know what I mean? You go up against a black belt and you're like, I can't breathe. It's like, oh my God, like, why'd I run out of conditioning? With boxing, they don't take this into account. It's like, if you don't have these tangibles on the running and everything else, and like you get in a fight and you beat the hell out of somebody, and you're like, my strength and conditioning coach is the man. You know what I mean? Well, it's because that guy wasn't up to par. And then the next fight, you fight somebody of a higher stature. You're basing everything off of feeling and non-tangibles. It's like something you can't control with that individual. So, again, you're back to, well, I got to do what I did, and I got to do it harder. And that's the only thing you have as a tangible. And you're going to go backwards that way.
Okay. One last question for me. Without saying any name, any news for the next Joe fight, or nothing? Still nothing?
Bro, yeah. I can't tell you how many times people have asked me that, and I could have given them a straight up answer. And then I'm like, they're probably thinking I'm lying to them because it's changed and then it's changed again and it's changing. So we were supposed to fight September, October, December. And then, it's like they give us one name, then they give us another name, then another name. So I honestly, like I'm saying this, Bob, I have no idea. But what I will tell you, I started working with Joe about a year and a half ago. And I told him, like, bro, you are going to be undisputed. I tell you. And he didn't believe it at the time. He's like, yeah. And now he's like, holy crap, like what we're doing, it's so foreign to anybody else in the boxing community. And he's like, dude, this like we're going all the way. And like we're not even looking at undisputed anymore. It's like, okay, once we get there, what are we gonna do with it? And I've called it, and I'm telling you, I'm calling it by the end of this upcoming year, it's gonna be undisputed. I guarantee it.
Can't wait for I hope, Dubois fight. I hope on February will be great. Dubois versus Joe. Thank you, George.
I have one last question because I need to make a transition to MMA. I've seen a picture of you and John Jones a month ago. Can you just tell us your impression about what you saw with John Jones' camp?
Yeah, so obviously in the box community, a lot of people, they know like I started in the MMA community. John was one of the first clients that I've ever worked with in MMA. John, he was, he likes getting the best of everything. This is why he's so good. He gets the best and he invests in himself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Best boxer. If you look who he's training with Gordon, Ryan Gordon, and we're talking like gold medalist wrestlers and stuff like that. He's training with them, but he's learning. Like he wasn't trying to spar with Joe, and you know what I mean. He was just trying to pick Joe's brain, and I think it was also eye opening to Joe because the technique that these guys work on, like the inches and everything, it's a lot more precise and exact than it is in boxing. Except in boxing, it's over and over and over, but it's not necessarily the correct repetitions. You know what I'm saying? He took a lot away from that. And that was a big reason that we went. We'd been training, like I said, since April. And Jones said 2 weeks. And I said, listen, you go out there and it's like a different mindset, different thought process. We're going to learn some new things. We might not I think they had Joe doing ground and pound. Never in a million years is that ever going to be applicable to boxing. But, Joe, he jumps in. We took a lot away. We had speed coaches out there. We're implementing a lot of speed work. Swimming and things like that. But it was great. You have two minds that are very open. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things when you're open to learn, you can't just take in BS. Like I said, you always have to ask that question, why? But if somebody's able to break it down Barney style for you, like, okay, yeah, I can implement this into my regimen. And that's what a lot of things happen in Jones's camp.
George, thank you so much.
Yeah, bro. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, mate.
I appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
Cheers.